So good morning, everyone, and welcome. For those that don't know me, my name is Carol Spicer, and I'm the owner of Spicer Facilitation and Learning. I'm very pleased to welcome you to April's Entrepreneur Coffee Break on behalf of Navigate Small Business. So official words of welcome. Good morning, bonjour à tous. I'm joining you from the beautiful community of Pasadena on the west coast of Newfoundland and Labrador on the unceded territory of the Beothuk. And I do ask that you take a moment to reflect on the lands that you're joining us from. And I do recognize the Indigenous population in our province, the Innu, the Inuit, and the Mi'kmaq. I'm actually going to put up a link a little bit later. It's a fantastic website that you can go anywhere in the world and hover over a space and find out what Indigenous territory you are joining from. So I'll put that up in a few moments. So as I said, I'm very pleased to welcome you here on behalf of Navigate Small Business. Allison Rowe is the manager of Navigate. She's going to kick us off here in a few moments. And then we're going to turn it over to our guest speakers. So today we have Wendy Norton, who works full-time with Staples and is co-owner of Two Essential Sisters. We have Roseanne Brake, who is general manager at Holiday Inn Express in Deer Lake and has the recently rebranded new campaign, Rocky Brook Acres. And we have Rob Sutton, who his story is a little cool because he started as a side hustle and ended up making it full-time. So Rob is joining us from Crooked Feeder Brewing. And so I'm sure they'll be telling us more of our story. We also have Scott Andrews, who's agreed to speak on behalf of Futurepreneur today and talk a little bit about his programming specifically to the side hustle as well as some other offerings that they have. Feel free if you have to drop off, if things happen, by all means. This is not a mandatory, you must stay for every minute of it, but we certainly hope you can stay with us as long as you can. Following our discussion with our panelists, we are going to open it up to open networking. So if you want to tell us who you are and where you are and what exciting things are happening in your world, we're more than happy to listen, and we love to hear and see the synergy of the connections happen right in front of us, and that's always been exciting. So Allison, with all that long preamble, I'm going to turn it over to you to do an intro because we do have several folks here that are new to us, so I think it'll be good for them to hear the overview of Navigate.
Absolutely. The numbers are steadily climbing here today. We're almost at 40. Can everyone hear me? I'm getting a bit of feedback.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask if you're not, if you can mute up while I'm going to mute you, Robert, because I think you're on a app and that's causing some issues.
I'm going to mute myself, but she had echo in her, she spoke out. She had a little bit of an echo.
Okay, thanks, Daphne. And James, I just muted you up too, so I think you're good now, Allison.
Okay, thank you. If at any time, by the way, I turn off my camera, it's because sometimes my connection is a bit choppy. And and I want to also give space to all of our wonderful panelists and presenters who are going to be here speaking today. So many of you are regulars and have been joining us for our Entrepreneur Ecosystem coffee breaks for a while now. Carol and I started these just over a year ago before the pandemic hit. And we've seen our numbers grow steadily, and it's great to connect with everyone every month and to see new entrepreneurs coming on board and connecting with one another and learning about different topics together. And it's been great as well to have our different panelists come and share their views and experiences on what they've been doing with their businesses. So for those of you who are new to Navigate, the Navigate program is a partnership between Grenfell campus and Corner Brook CNA campus, and we help entrepreneurs from the very early startup stage, so with your ideas, business plan development, etc., on through to commercialization and launch of your business. We also help with prototype and product development through our makerspace. And Navigate, the program is comprised of 3 service pillars. We have the Entrepreneurship Center, which is located we have 2 entrepreneurship centers, one located at the CNA campus and one located at Grenfell campus. And those services are available to students and entrepreneurs throughout Western Newfoundland, or people considering entrepreneurship. We have a business incubator for when you've reached the launch stage and you're commercializing your business and you want to expand. That's located on the CNA campus. And we have a makerspace on the Grenfell campus, and that's for the product and prototype development that I was talking about. And actually, I should mention our physical spaces are closed at the moment due to COVID, but we're still here to assist you virtually. So if anyone needs any assistance, wants to reach out, I'll be putting my contact information in chat. We also have a brand new website with a lot of great tools and resources that I invite you to check out.
Excellent. Thank you, Allison. So for those that have just joined, and I know as soon as I said that, that sounds like Dr. Fitzgerald. I'm not giving you a COVID update, but for those that have just joined, please feel free to put your contact information into chat throughout the session, and we'll certainly be going through that and sharing the information as much as we can out with folks, because that's really part of the benefit of this. So today is about the side hustle, and I have to get really cheesy here, guys, and those of a certain age are hopefully will enjoy this, because I had a lot of fun with this morning, so hang on. Can you hear it, Allison? Everybody's dancing with me, right? All right, sorry, I had to find that this morning. My husband was in a marching band and played trombone, so he found it for me actually, and he's like, listen to those bones. So that's what today is, the side hustle. I thought that'd be a bit of fun. So some of you are dancing along with me and bringing you right back to high school dances and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's get into our discussion about the side hustle. So again, huge thank you to Wendy, Roseanne, and Rob, who have agreed to come on and share a bit of their story with us. So Wendy, I think I'm going to go to you first, and I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about who you are, what your full-time gig is, what your side hustle is, and what prompted you to start it.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Carol, for inviting me. Carol and I have a great relationship, and I met her, my gosh, I don't even know how long ago now, but anyway, she always relates herself to Norm from Cheers, and I'm probably dating myself there as well. When she walks into Staples, everybody goes, Carol. So that's how Carol and I work. So I'm full-time general manager at Staples here in Corner Brook. I've been with Staples 20 years. I built the store from the ground up when it landed here. And I did take a little hiatus over to Target for a few months, but realized that family was Staples, so I went back there. And my side hustle is my sister and I. My sister's in Northern Ontario, and we own a side hustle called Two Essential Sisters. So it started out with essential oils, and now our love for crystals has grown. So we just really are trying to find our way, like so many other entrepreneurs. So I get the whole, staying up, like, 2 nights ago I was on Etsy trying to figure out, like, how do I do this? How do I get our brand on Etsy? How do we upload our website properly? And being an entrepreneur as well as a general manager, it's a lot, but but it's the part that you love, and that's why you want it to be so successful. And that's why you have to dig out and look for resources. And you spend a lot of your time trying to figure out the cheapest way, the best way, the most bang for your buck, really. So I'm here kind of as twofold, because I get the whole difficult part with trying to launch a brand that you absolutely love and have so much passion about. But then you also have the side where I'm trying to support entrepreneurs as well. And that's the big thing. A lot of people with Staples, they don't realize what we can do. They don't realize the actual scope of how we can help small businesses. And this is something my boss and I, my boss is in Moncton, we're really digging into in 2021, because they're at such a high level that they're not getting into the communities. They're not getting the knowledge out to you guys, the ones that are down and you're building your business. So Staples has so many great programs. We've just launched a new preferred program, which some people I know on the site are a part of. It's basically a discount program, and it's online shopping, and you get a discount through online, as well as you can get discounts through our copy and print. as well as you get business cards free annually a year. So there's a lot of really great programs that's out there, and that's one that we are really pushing big for small businesses this year is our preferred. It might be 5% off, it might be 10% off. It all depends on the account manager, that the conversation that you have with your account manager. But just know that you don't have to pay full price for a pack of paper. You don't have to come into the store. You're busy people. So, you can just launch onto staples.ca with your own login that your account manager has given you. And from there, you pick your favorites and we deliver it for you to your door. So, you don't need to spend that half an hour or 45 minutes. You can spend it going to your favorites, buy what you normally would buy, and then from there let us do the work for you. So that's one of the great programs. Another program that I spoke about on a recent call that I was on with Enlo is our direct mail. So good old direct mail. People actually still don't go do their mailboxes, and they still do like to open mail. People love getting mail, actually. I know maybe I'm old school, but I do enjoy getting mail. I enjoy looking through the flyers and whatnot. So Staples also has a direct mail program that allows you to either, whether it's postcards or a flyer. And 2 years ago, we were actually more expensive than Canada Post, but now our business managers have realized that, and they've really done a great job on putting out a phenomenal program. And all you do is you just talk to them, give you your vision, and from there they will create the postcard or the flyer for you. They'll print it and they'll deliver it to specific postal codes. So Carol launched a great question last time. My client is not a consumer. Her client is business customers. So how does that work? And we can do that as well. We can pick whatever postal codes you want your direct mail to go to. So that's another great program. And the last one that I want to talk about is webware, which is web design. So, Allison mentioned that you guys have a new website. Online is where it's at. Like if you have to get your brand online, and as two Essential Sisters, this was our focus this year, was to get our product online. We have to get out there. We have to be, when somebody Googles you, and not yourself, like Carol said, you can't use your own computer to Google yourself because you're looking at yourself all the time. So you have to use a computer that you haven't used. But where do you show up? Like really, where is it? Are you on page 5? Because if you're on page 5, then nobody's going past page 2. So you really got to look at that. So Webware does that for you as well. You get a 30-minute free consultation, and they can do anything from, it could be just simply helping you with your website. It could be social media, blogging. Carol sends out a great email newsletter every month, and I do read it because they're fun, and it's a great newsletter. So, they can help you with that. They can help you with blogging. And the best part about it all is that they tell you what works, which really takes a lot off of your plate. And, with us just launching our website as at Two Essential Sisters, I haven't done my free consultation yet, but I am going to, because the time that it's taking for us to know what's working and what's not working, we're not going to have time to do that. My sister also works full time as well. So, it's just a great another program that will support small businesses as well. So those are kind of the 3 programs that I wanted to speak to as the Staples. And like I said, Staples Canada does a great job on their social media, and they have emails that come out. And if you get a chance to look at their Spotlight series, so right before the pandemic, Staples opened up these Spotlight spaces. So basically they go and they have a professional speak about whatever. Tax season, they have professionals speak about tax season, and it's completely free. So if you go to Staples Canada and actually follow it on Facebook, then you will get notifications of these events, whether that's about tax things that you should know about, whether it's Sage, your accounting program, maybe you need to know more about that. Social media, what you should look like at social media. So these Spotlight series are actually there, and they're completely free, and they're online events. They're just another great way to get some good information that you might need.
Excellent.
And Carol, I think that's about it.
Excellent. Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, when I contacted Wendy for this session, I said, there's two hats. I said, first of all, you got to tell people about Staples programs because I was fortunate enough to hear about them from her earlier. I said, but also I need you here as a side hustler. So thank you, Wendy, for coming on. I will tell you, I registered for the Staples Preferred last year and never heard a thing. And then I got an information saying you don't qualify. And what Wendy has shared is they weren't quite recognizing the smaller communities of Newfoundland and Labrador and Atlantic Canada. So Wendy and her boss, as she mentioned, have really been pushing, and I have got my confirmation, Wendy, I do have my login now so thank you for that. So if you contact Wendy, she can actually put you through the system as a referral. So Wendy, if you want to pop your email into chat there, that'd be great for everyone.
Perfect, will do.
Excellent. So it's a nice little intro into Wendy and her world. Roseanne, I'm so excited. You just rebranded. You've been hinting at it for a while since I've been chatting with you. So tell us who you are. And before you do that, Allison, you wanted to jump in first?
Just, I've been adding links to the different programs that Wendy mentioned in chat. So if anyone's wondering about those links and names, you can find them there. And Wendy, if you have anything else you want to add in, please do, and we'll share those through our newsletter as well.
Perfect, thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. So Roseanne, who are you? Where are you? What are you at?
I am Roseanne Brake. I've been with the IHG brand for almost 30 years now. So started back in '93, fresh out of college. Holiday Inn was opening in Stephenville. So started in a management role right out of college and worked my way up to general manager for the last 8 years I was there. Was very involved in the community while I was managing the property. How I came to be or have a side hustle, I guess, basically out of necessity, and I'm sure I'm not the only case that this happens to. There was always, I grew up with two parents who had their own business. I had a farmer, my dad, and my mom had her own tourism business. So it just seemed to be the natural evolution. I went off to college, did tourism management and accounting, and I eventually was going to take over the family business, but there was never a succession plan. There was just conversation about it, but of course life happened. I met someone in college, I had children, and that's how life goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in 2002, my mom passed away quite suddenly, and a functioning business and babies at home, and a father who was 25 years older than mom and who had never had anything to do with the business other than the odd story or whatever in the evening with guests. But anyway, out of necessity, I was thrown into a fully functioning business. The priority became to take care of Dad. So I was the only one home living in the closest proximity to the business. So ended up, I still had a job in Stephenville. I had a family who hadn't committed to this business. We weren't ready to move into Cormac. So I literally called up a lady who lived across the street from the cabins, who had worked with my mother in the past, and that seemed to be the best solution at the time. Can you keep an eye on things until we figure this out? And that ended up being a great relationship. She just retired last year from the cabins, but she, again, life happened. I had a very busy job. It wasn't a business that ever provided me an income prior to it landing on my lap. So to me, if it wasn't, it was just there, we're keeping the doors open, I'll figure this out when I'm ready. So it just got to a point. I'm working in the business in a busy hotel. I'm very involved in the network of tourism. I didn't even tell people that I had a business technically. It wasn't technically mine. It was mine and my other siblings. We were just keeping the doors open. So I wasn't proud of the business at this point. It needed some capital put back into it. It was a family business, and I thought we should keep it. So I made an offer to my other siblings who were all on the mainland, and they accepted my offer to buy their portion out. And so I went to ACOA. I saw Mark Lambswood, Mark Tierney on the phone a little earlier. And so I reached out to ACOA and asked what they could help me with. It needed some capital put into it. So that was when I bought the business. So that was around 2010. I had a separate agreement to purchase the business with my siblings, but I reached out to ACOA because it needed some capital put back into it, and that's how that all came about. So,
Excellent.
so that's my background and how I came to be technically an entrepreneur.
Excellent. Thank you, Roseanne.
Mhm.
Rob, your story. I'm going to unmute you now because I know you're on the app.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
So I grew up in Cormac. My father was an entrepreneur. He started Cormac Woodworks in 1983, and he ran that for 25 years. And in the meantime, I went to college and got a degree in forestry. And in 2001, or 2003, I started working at Cornerbrook in the forestry service. And I was there about maybe 7 or 8 years before my current business partners, Ray Brake and Corey White, came to work with me there at forestry. Ray was at Cornwall Pulp and Paper, and Corey was in one of our Labrador offices. And Corey and I became friends, and he built a new house and bought a kegerator for the house, and then he couldn't afford to put beer in the kegerator. So I'd done some brewing, I'm going to say, in high school, which is, I was called on it on the radio before. I was like, yeah, well, we'll just forget about that. And we made some beer. It wasn't very good, so we decided to start researching scratch brewing like the craft breweries do. And so we kind of fell into that, and we became YouTube experts and Google experts on brewing. And we started making some really, really good beer. And funny enough, 2 days ago, Corey sent me one of our original brew sheets from 2014. And I was like, oh, and that's what started it. So it was a Bud Light clone. So we made some fizzy yellow beer for wussies. And it was really good. And so around that time, we looked at, so maybe we could open a brewery. And we looked into it, and it was really expensive, and we figured we'd have to hire a brewer. And not too long after, Port Rexton and Pasadena breweries started to come to life. And we still looked at it and was like, I don't think we can do this. And we took a tour of Western Newfoundland Brew Company in Pasadena. And I said, you know what? This is just a big empty space that they filled with gear. And I said, so at that point, my father had retired from his business. I went because of the state of the lumber industry. And we had big empty buildings in Cormac. So I contacted my father. I was like, what are you doing with the buildings? He said, well, we're going to sell them in a few years. I said, well, in the meantime, can we use them? And he's like, why? And I said, well, we're going making beer. And he said, okay, can I work there? I said, sure. So then we started developing our business plan and looking for funding. And the girls at Port Rexton put off a seminar, and I went out and looked at how we would go about building a brewery. So we developed a budget, and we started from there, a very small budget. And every government department we ran into reduced our budget by 5%, 5%, 5%. So actually, I jumped ahead a little bit. Ray Brake, me and him were friends from forestry side for some work we were doing, and he came up one day when I was off for holidays, and it was a hot, sunny day. The sun was beating down, splitting rocks, and I said, "Would you like a beer?" Sure. So I went into the shed and I had keg beer in my shed and I poured him up one. And he sat down and the sweat was beading off the glass and he took a sip and he said, "Oh my God, you've got to do something with this." So Ray was pushing at me and Corey to get into a brewing business. So then it all tied together with traveling to Port Rexton. And so we submitted our business plan to government for environmental assessment in June of 2017. So that's when it says Crooked Feeder was established. And the name came about because we were going to be the Humber River Brew Company, and Crooked Feeder was a tributary to the Humber. And we said, well, that'll be a beer name. And then we thought about it. Everybody does Humber River everything. So one of the guys said, now both of them take credit for it. I don't know which one. And they said, what about Crooked Feeder? I said, perfect. I wrote it on the plan and I submitted it to government. And that's where the name came from. And so then we applied for some funding from TCII. And we went from there. It took us about 7 months to get our funding approved because one of the big things with breweries in Newfoundland, it was all so new that none of the regulatory departments quite knew what to do. So everybody had a different view and you had to work your way through things. And then I had to get a water report done for the brewery, cost $4,500 to say that there was enough water between us and the Long Range Mountains to make beer. And that was just one example. So at the end of government regulations, we ended up with a very small budget. So we decided to get our brewing equipment built locally. And people said, well, you can't do that. I said, well, everywhere is local to somewhere. So if we buy it from Colorado, there's local guys like the Tin Man making it in Colorado. So I gave the Tin Man a set of drawings. They came back and yes, we can do it food grade. So they built so much for equipment. My father built a lot of equipment from repurposed materials from the sawmill. And then I ordered in a lot of the electronic components and spent hours and hours and hours on Google and YouTube and figured out how to build the control panel sides. And so that's kind of when we went from there. But the biggest hurdle has got to be the red tape, the duct tape, the electrical tape. There's just so much tape to get through. And so then we wanted to build a small brewery, and the more we got into it, the more beer we figured we'd need. And we started out running 10 barrels of fermenters. Then we moved to 18 barrels of fermenters. Now we're running 30 barrels of fermenters. And when NLC came through last year with the commission discounts, it was enough of a tipping point for myself to make the move to get out of government completely and move to brewing full time because I've got a young family. I was working 35 hours a week at government, driving back and forth to Corner Brook. Then I was working 6 and 8 hours in the evenings, 3-4 days a week, and my weekends. And my family was growing up without me. And so now the craft beer is just on the rise, and it was just the right time for me to leave government. I mean, I had a really good job in my field and move into brewing full time. But
That's awesome.
Last week I was approached by an industry component, and I'm now starting to do the course work in the evenings instead of doing it in the daytime. So, but at least the modeling work that I'm doing with forestry, computer simulation modeling, I can sit at my kitchen table and do, and at least I'm in the house with my family. So I've kind of that my career has become my hobby, and my hobby has become my career.
That's cool. I like that.
And
So you mentioned, Rob, that you think one of the biggest hurdles has been the red tape process?
Yes, and I think if we were to build a brewery now, it probably wouldn't be as arduous because government has learned while we've learned. Because it was just so new, and NLC didn't know quite what to do with us, and each government department was just like going to lending agencies, and then they're like, oh my God, there's 4 or 5 more of these breweries creeping up. I was like, yes, but the capacity is so low and the consumption here is so high that there's so much room to grow. So those things are the unknowns of craft breweries for Newfoundland was sort of the hurdle, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and I do think you and I have had this conversation that the brewing industry is to me a shining example of people partnering and realizing that you've got the same client, but you're not in competition. I'm a Coca-Cola drinker and I'm a loyal Coca-Cola drinker. Pepsi's not my thing, but when it comes to craft beer, people often don't have that particular, brewery that they only go to with a craft beer brewery, right? They love to sample. That's the whole thing. They love the flights. I've been at, events, Rob, where you've been serving. I think Sharon, you were a waitress at one of them in Pasadena, serving the beers at the beer fest. And I mean, people were just loving it, that there's so much to choose from. So I think the craft brewing industry in Newfoundland, Labrador is phenomenal, what they're doing.
If there's one brewery in Newfoundland, there's not much call for craft beer aficionados to come to Newfoundland to visit one craft brewery. But now the West Coast is an entire destination. The East Coast is an entire destination. There's a little bit going on in Central. But now all of a sudden you can take a 12 brewery tour across Newfoundland and spend 2 weeks and do it. Where before you could go to town and you could go to Yellow Belly and you could go to Kitty Vitty, and that was sort of the end of your craft beer experience.
Yeah.
So now we've become a destination. Yeah,
that's excellent. I have an aunt who's got some kind of brew master designation because there's that many that she's tried. I don't know. I'm not a drinker of beer, but I do have a craft crooked feeder brandy snifter that I drink my Coca-Cola out of. So
perfect. My friend,
I have a Navigate beer glass. So I mean, that's my thing now, is I tend to use all the different glasses for my Coke. So that's kind of my little niche there.
I've got a friend, and he only drinks white rum and Diet Coke because he's a diabetic and is all out of a crooked feeder glass. He says, perfect size.
There you go. Roxanne has just shared too, there's Iron Rock Brewery in Labrador now. So that's awesome too.
Yeah, we bought their canner actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, they upgraded to a bigger canner, and we bought their smaller canner, and we can't get beer out fast enough in the cans. It's just gone. Look like if every second week we ship 100% of our inventory.
Excellent.
Yep.
So Roseanne, you talked about some of your hurdles, the fact that you were an accidental entrepreneur and it was sudden. What other types of hurdles did you have to get through?
I guess, when it landed on my plate, distance was a hurdle. Time has always been a hurdle, having a full-time job and trying to manage a business. But I'm going to speak to, I think the biggest hurdle was lack of succession planning. And I think that there needs to be some sort of a program somewhere through some agency. I mean, in our province alone, there are so many viable businesses, and that could be continued. My mother wasn't the only case where, she probably should have gotten out of the business previously, but there was nobody there to take over. It was her baby, and there was no incentive for me to give up my good job in Stephenville and come home and take over the business, I guess. So I think that would be, maybe it exists today, I don't know. But at that time it certainly didn't, and I think it would be a great program to have in place so that there could be some sort of succession planning, not only for a sibling, but for another person to come on and take over a business and make it viable for that person to want to do that, right? And I guess in my case, there wasn't a lot of personal support, I guess. My siblings were away. I was an individual trying to work full time and take over a business. So they were some of my hurdles. I guess there's always a financial hurdle. There's never enough money, I guess, to do what your dreams want to or are telling you to do, but
Okay, excellent. So Margaret's put a comment there. Alison, I know your hand went up and your head's probably in the same space I am. That's a cool topic. And Janice said the same. So certainly what I'm jotting down, keep it in mind. But you want to jump in, Alison?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that Carol and I were talking earlier about how we want to hear from all of you about what topics you'd like us to address in our future coffee breaks. So we'll definitely put that one down on the list. Please let us know if you have other ideas or things that, questions you want answered, topics you want to discuss, feel free to put it in chat or email us and let us know.
Yep, absolutely. So Wendy, what were your challenges? You've talked about trying to build the brand. You also went into business with your sister, so similar to Roseanne, there's siblings involved and things. So what would you say your hurdles were?
Yeah, so our biggest hurdle is time, to be completely honest, because you still want to live life. You don't want your entire world to be around, the 2 jobs that you have and whatnot. So time is definitely the biggest hurdle that we have, and especially being in different provinces. It's difficult to be able to, you have to trust each other, and you have to say, okay, you run with that and I'll run with this. So, but the biggest hurdle for us is definitely the time to actually, do what we love to do, which is to, talk about self-healing and talk about self-love, and as a woman in business, not only that, but, taking time for yourself and, using the tools that we use and that we love so much, and getting that information out there. So, and then building your brand, biggest hurdle that I have is getting us out there, because all of our products are homemade. So it's a very fine line, because, I don't want to, overwhelm us and, not go above and beyond. So if I'm like, and I'm like, okay, let's go, let's get it on here, let's do this. And my sister's like, hold on. So it's a lot of back and forth, and me having to pull the reins in, because, it is all homemade and whatnot. So, and, again, the financial part of it as well, in order to be able to figure out what crystals and what our people really want. And that's why I love the fact that you took that succession planning, because that's what your clients want to hear about. So we're kind of doing the same thing. What is it that you want to hear about? What is it that we can help you with? So and then just taking all that. So my biggest hurdles are definitely time, but also I'm like run with it, go, and then you have a different personality of somebody that's like more of a realistic. So that would be my biggest hurdles.
Okay, excellent. Well, maybe you might get to a point where you can do what Rob has done. Passion becomes the full-time, and the career becomes the side hustle.
And when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, like one day I'll be like, oh, my life just flipped, and it'll be wonderful, right? Like
we'll be like normal people there, Wendy.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I know I worked with a lady one time who used to always say, chase your passion, not your pension. And I mean, yes, the reality is we need money to live, but at the same time, the passion kind of drives you. If you're counting every hour as a pensionable hour, then it's a bit of a difficult time. But sometimes that's the reality that we're facing too, that we just need to get money on, food on the table kind of thing. I think each of you have touched on some of the rewards you're feeling, and certainly the fulfillment, but I'll go to you first, Rob. What would you recommend for anyone looking at starting a side hustle?
Oop, I was muted there.
That's okay.
What would I recommend? Lots of research, and just remember that it takes twice as long and costs us 3 times as much. Because I mean, I budget it, but now instead of increasing my budget, we found ways around it. Like, I mean, there's lots of local resources in these little companies and stuff too, like the Tin Man. I mean, like they saved us, they saved our project, because there was no way to access any more money for us. We were lucky to get the money we did have, and at the time, brewery funding had been shut down through some other agencies just because of the unknowns, and I quite understand. So as our budgets decreased, our ingenuity had to increase. But like just utilizing the things around us. I mean, just stretching your resources, I guess. And but I watched one entrepreneur who had a brewery said, "There's nothing wrong with putting all your eggs in one basket as long as your basket is sound." So just be sure of try to be sure of what you're doing, but you also can't wait for it to be perfect. So I don't know, sort of talking out of both sides of my mouth there. Like you got to be sure of what you're doing, but it's never going to be perfect. You got to kind of run with it at some point. And that's so.
Absolutely. And I think that's the nature of entrepreneurs is there's that bit of risk taker in some of us. And sometimes it's necessity, as Roseanne said, something gets thrown at you and you do it out of necessity. But still there's that little bit of risk inside of you somehow that says, I'm willing to try it. So excellent. Thank you, Rob. Roseanne, what would you recommend somebody looking to start out with side hustle?
Well, first, I'm just going to mention, some of the benefits of being your own boss. I guess, just that freedom to be the driver of the bus kind of thing, and I'm a creative spirit by nature, and I love to create things, experiences, that sort of thing. So this business and having my own business, has certainly allowed me to do that, especially in my rebranding. And, we've only just put out a little teaser for our brand. We're not there yet. It's going to be another month or so before we fully roll out. I see Sharon Evans here on the screen, and I just partnered with Sharon and Carmelita to offer a great spring retreat for all you ladies on the line, or any, Rob, your wife might want to join in, a lovely spring mindful wellness retreat.
For sure.
Being
More detail, please.
Oh, we'll get that out to you.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out what three women I want to spend the weekend with.
Just allows your creative spirit. So that's the most rewarding thing, I think, for me about being your own boss. It's you got to be a certain type individual to do this side hustle, or even to be your own boss and have your own business. People look at me all the time and shake their head and think I'm crazy, but I can't imagine my life any other way. It's, I love what I do. I love people. And for me, I guess one other thing, this crazy tourism hospitality business is not like a government position. We don't all have pensions, so I guess that was another turning point for me to this is my pension plan. This is my little nest egg, I guess. So to look at going into business, or some advice for people going into business, it is all about work-life balance. People look at me and they think I don't have work-life balance, but I do. I still take time for family. I take time for me. I run or exercise when I get off work every day.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. I see thumbs up there with Sharon, and that's very important. You can't take care of your job and your business without taking care of you. So family is first. So work-life balance, there is a way to do it. It's tight scheduling, but we do it and we manage. So, but I think Rob alluded to this, like you really have to look at the whole puzzle and make sure that it's going to fit for you, for your family. You got to have a commitment from your family if you have a family. Everybody's got to be on board with what you're going to do, and so make sure that it's not just you going into this business. It has to work for everybody. So again, work-life balance, lots of research, again, to what Rob said, look at what's available to you, and can you make all that work? And that's about it. It's learning to balance it all. You can't do it unless you have balance in your life.
Yeah.
So,
Daphne, you want to jump in?
yeah, if I may, I just heard yesterday or today I was at the NLO's conference. I don't know if many of you have, but one of the ladies said, and it really stuck with me. It says, "Where the focus goes, energy flows," and it's so true. When I know many of us have a lot on the go, but we definitely need to focus on ourselves as well and make sure exercise, eat well, and nourish ourselves so we can be the one. We can be strong enough and persevere all these challenges. So I really like that. Where the focus goes, energy flows. Yes, sorry. When the focus, energy flows. It's really
Yeah, I like that.
pretty neat. I like that too.
I
Yeah.
love that. I think I'm going to put it on my wall.
Yes. I think I'm going to have it part of who I am. I'm kind of putting together a whole bunch of things that I'm presenting my business, and I think that's going to be part of that as well. I really thought that really resonated with me.
That's awesome. Thank you, Daphne, for sharing. Allison, you want to comment?
Yes, actually, Roseanne, you had mentioned about the importance of balance and self-care, Wendy as well. And it was interesting, you're mentioning the NLO conference. The keynote speaker yesterday was Arlene Dickinson. And, as someone from Dragon's Den, you wouldn't expect that the first words out of her mouth would be self-care is the most important thing. But it was, and that was her key message. And it was really, I think everyone needed to hear it, especially right now during COVID. But when you hear it from someone at that level who's got, such successful businesses and people all around her to support her, you really have to take that to heart.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I'm personally a huge promoter of physical fitness and self-care because I honestly wouldn't be able to do it without it. Like, I need to take care of me because I know how busy life is, and I need to be healthy to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Good for you. Yeah, it's very important. It kind of gets. I'm the same way. I'm very much health and exercise and eating well. It's just that time, that hour is just for me to just escape and focus on myself, and then the results are amazing. It feels good.
Yeah.
I promote it with my staff at the hotel. I need my workers to be healthy. I'm always promoting, go for a walk or, eat healthy, whatever it is. It's important all around in life. Yeah.
So that leads right to you, Wendy. Your whole thing is about self-care. And there's many on here, actually, as I'm going through the chat, there's many of you that have businesses around wellness. But what would you recommend, Wendy, for someone considering starting a side hustle?
So the where we kind of went wrong was we didn't know who our target audience was. And once we figured out who our actual target audience was, it alleviated so much fog out of the brain. So then, we could focus on, women between the ages of our most targeted audience is women between the age of, 30 and 60. But then we wanted to have the fun stuff in there as well with the 18-year-olds because they're becoming very, very big onto, my boyfriend's, my son's girlfriend the other day asked me for a crystal that she could rub over her face with some stuff. I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Anyway, I looked it up and it's really cool and it feels good. So the biggest thing was that we didn't really know who our target audience was. And once we figured that out, I just found that the brain was a lot easier and the planning was a lot easier. So that was that would be my biggest recommendation.
Okay, excellent. Sharon, you've got your hand raised. I don't know if you're looking to make a comment.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good. Yeah, you're there, Sharon.
I just, it was on the self-care.
Mm-hmm.
I had my, can you hear me?
Yep, yeah, you're good.
Yes, okay. When we were talking about like listening to our bodies and stuff, I had my flu shot yesterday, the COVID vaccine. So I had the AstraZeneca. So I'm a meditation instructor and, I tap in, and I feel certain things. So anyway, I said, this morning when I got up, I said, I think I got a headache. And then I said, gosh, I think I got a little bit of back, but I said, I had so much to do today. I had so many meetings and like NLO had another workshop and Carol and Allison's. So I said, you know what? Dare I take a Tylenol? I mean, because I think it could help me. But, I just sat quiet and I said, you've got to listen to your body, and you want to run your business and you want to contribute. But if you don't take care of yourself, there's nothing else. So I got to say, I did do that this morning. I didn't rush around. I did take care of myself. And I'm so glad that I can sit here and just listen to you all, even though I'm not out and about, I'm still able to do the care, and it's very important.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you to our panelists. I'm going to ask Scott to join us now. Scott is with Futurepreneur, and there actually is a program on the side hustle, not eligible for all of us because some of us are, remember the hustle, the song, but others don't. I know we've got a number of students on here with us today, Scott, so hopefully you can speak to them.
For sure. Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Allison. Good morning, everyone. I'll just be super quick, Carol, but as an aside, because I don't even know where to begin, this conversation has been amazing, and listening to Wendy and Roseanne and Rob, it's been phenomenal. Just reinforces everything that we do. But this side little discussion here on self-care and entrepreneurship is just phenomenal. And I think that's your next suggestion for another piece. I know we've done a session in the past, how you're coping with COVID, where we touched on a lot of this stuff. And I know Sharon had lots of advice. Sharon, you should be happy to know, since that session, I've been practicing mindfulness and meditation, and I've read a few books. So this seems to be really, really, really good. And I kind of feel guilty that I'm only late to this during the COVID stuff. And some of my friends have said, gee, Scott, you've been going to the gym for 15 years, working on your physical side, and you've never done anything to work on your mental side. And that really hit home. And I was like, wow, okay. So thanks, Sharon, and to everybody. And I think, that whole mindfulness piece and self-care, especially for entrepreneurs, with everything that Wendy and Roseanne and Rob have brought up is so true. So just as a quick aside, I work for Futurepreneur Canada. We're a national nonprofit that support young business owners. So the definition of young for us is 18 to 39. So for those like myself who are young at heart, but over that age range, don't worry. I'm just going to touch on this for a minute because it's an important topic that flows into what we've been chatting about. So we've been around for 25 years supporting young entrepreneurs in Canada get started in business, primarily through funding, mentorship, and free business resources. And all of our resources, as Carol likes to say, are for everybody out there, for those that fall under the 40 age range, and for those of us that are young at heart and might be a little over the age of 40. So we offer a lot of workshops and resources for those too. We like to partner with all of the agencies that are out there. We definitely partner with Navigate and Allison. We love working with our friends at Enlo. I know Carla's here, and Red Day, Andrew is here too, and we work with the province. I know Mark and Sonia were mentioned. I know Roxanne is here on the chat. I've seen Roxanne at Labrador. Great. Me specifically, I'm based in St. John's. We try to help as many new young business owners get started from Newfoundland and Labrador. So we have a couple of different programs. Primarily, our core program is to help launch with full-time businesses. So somebody's thinking about launching a business, they're under the age of 40, they need some funding. We can provide them with a small startup loan. We pair them up with a mentor for the period of for the 2 years. We firmly believe in mentorship. That's the key value add that can really help a young entrepreneur get started. Carol's going to be a mentor with us. She doesn't even know that yet, but she's going to make an amazing mentor, and we're going to recruit her. Sorry, Carol. So outside
Linda got me first, Scott. I got to tell you, Linda got me first.
We got space for you. Don't worry. So outside of their core startup program for those young entrepreneurs looking at starting full-time businesses that we support and we have been supporting for the past 25 years, we launched a couple of years ago our side hustle program. And that's exactly what it's called. We called it the side hustle program. A couple of people, when we launched it, they were like, what is that? Or what does that mean? But basically the reason why we started it, and again, I won't get into the specifics of it because I just want to add to the content here, is that we noticed several years ago, and it was probably maybe 3-4 years ago that we first started doing this, and we surveyed a lot of our clients and a lot of the intended audience that we support in across Canada, and we found that the whole landscape of work has been changing, and it is going to continue to change, and it especially changed to those young entrepreneurs. And what we were finding out was that most young people young entrepreneurs, you know, or if you want to look at it that way, we're not doing the traditional career path. And in fact, a lot of young entrepreneurs, and I'm over the age range, maybe, so I include me and my peer group themselves, are not following that traditional career trajectory. And a lot of people are doing more than one thing, as we've been chatting about this now. So, you know, and again, it can usually come from two perspectives. It usually comes out of necessity that, you know what, Scott, I'm working full time right now, and it's just not, ends are not being met with my current employment, and I need to do something on the side, or they're doing it out of passion and out of interest, and that, okay, I might be working with the city or, you know, with the province doing something, but on the side, I love brewing beer, or I want to brew beer. As an aside, I do love crooked feeder beer. So, you know, but there's a lot of people that do stuff on the side and they want to do. So we just simply launched a program, Futurepreneur Canada did, as a part of our other program offerings to maybe help support more young Canadians who are like, hey, you know what, Scott, I'm working full time and things are going good, and I have no intention to leaving my job right now, but I have something that I'm either doing on the side, or I'm thinking about doing something on the side, and I need a little bit of funding, or I need a bit of financial assistance to help me either get started or to take my side hustle to the next level. And that's what we did. We created a side hustle program for those young entrepreneurs. They can tap into up to $15,000 in a loan to help them either start their side hustle or to help them with their side hustle. And we pair them up with that mentorship for the first 2 years. So hopefully we could pair them up with somebody like Wendy or somebody like Roseanne or Rob, who's been through it before, and have been like, hey, I know exactly what you're feeling like. I'm here to help you, and you can bounce some ideas and questions off of me and stuff like that. So again, just, you know, I just wanted to kind of touch on that. It's definitely, we're seeing a trend, and there's places like us, the Futurepreneur Canada and stuff, that we want to just kind of continue to help those young entrepreneurs who are out there who are like, hey, I want to start this side hustle, or I want to launch a side hustle, and I just need a little bit of help and assistance. And hopefully people can come to places like myself, Futurepreneur Canada, maybe we can help them with the financial piece, and then go to all of the great supports that are out there on the call, like Navigate and, you know, the province and stuff, for Enlo, and chat with Carla and stuff about how we might be able to support those. And hopefully, as collectively, we can help support more entrepreneurs in Newfoundland and Labrador, whether that be through side hustle or for a core business. So,
Excellent. Thank you so much, Scott.
sure.
All right, so based on our conversation, so again, huge thank you to our panelists. So as Jeff got a question there, yes, it is 18 to 39 for the actual funding programs, Jeff, from Futurepreneur, but resources that are available for Futurepreneur are available for those of us beyond that.
That's correct. Thanks, Carol. You always point that out. And again, I'll get a quick plug in here, because you always do. Tomorrow, we're having a 3-hour free virtual business plan session for anybody of any age. If you're thinking about writing a business plan and you need some help. And the following next Friday, we're offering a 3-hour session on how to create an effective cash flow statement for your business plan. So that's open for anybody of any age as well.
Daphne would like to hear that.
So for tomorrow, is any age or just 18 to 39?
Any age. All of our resources are available for anybody of any age, those entrepreneurs under 40 or those entrepreneurs are young at heart and over 40.
Beautiful. And Carol, will you have that on your email later on?
I can post it in chat.
We'll put it in chat and we'll gather it. Yeah.
Scott, that's the Rock My Business, right? For the one tomorrow?
Muted? Yes, it is. Yep. That's the last 2 sessions of the Rock My Business series, the business plan and then the cash flow statement, one next Friday.
Yeah, Allison's been great putting stuff in chat, folks, if you have a chance to scroll through that. So mindful of the time, we're just past the bottom of the hour in Newfoundland and Southern Labrador, top of the hour in the rest of Labrador and across Canada, because we do have people outside our province with us here today. So again, if you haven't had a chance, throw in your contact info into chat if you wish, and your social media and all that stuff. Not sure we actually have time to kind of, you know, methodically run through each and one of you alphabetically, but if you do want to open up your mic and share what's going on in your world and let us know something that's happening, please do so. So I'm going to open up the floor. Whoever would like to say a few words. I'm going to ask that you raise your hand if you can, just so I can kind of manage that. So in your little control panel that's down at the bottom of your little panel, and if it's collapsed on you, you can just click the little arrow at the top. So anyone have anything they'd like to add? I did put a link to Roseanne's retreat into chat as well, to her Facebook post. Daphne, you wanted to say hello. Nope, you just muted.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah, yep, you're good.
Just quickly, I just wanted to mention my business quickly. I know I think a lot of the businesses in here are smaller, but my background is in accounts receivable, which is also cash flow management. And if any of you have any clients that are struggling with getting paid on sales and credit terms, please look me up. I know, Carol, you have my information as well. So we would definitely love to have a chat.
Excellent. Cash
Thanks.
is king. That's Daphna. So I'm thinking you're going to be interested in that cash flow workshop that Scott's got next week, for sure. Deanne, you want to say hello? So happy to see you.
And can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. I guess what I wanted to kind of contribute is I finished a social work degree in 2006. I moved from St. John's with 2 small kids to Stephenville. And before I knew it, I decided to do a side hustle. I bought an income property where it was a rental, and I started a convenience store. Ran it for 5 years, got a promotion for a new social work position in Corner Brook, and it was something that I really wanted to do because it was community supports. So I moved to Massey Drive, Newfoundland. So I did sell the business, but it taught me a whole bunch of stuff, and it was that side hustle. So I do get this. What I wanted to say is, through time being in as a social worker, I'm working full time or whatever, I was working on a business plan for a community development project, and I ended up in a car accident. So I ended up with 2 concussions, actually. One was a fall, and then the next one was 4 years ago, and that was a car accident. Anyway, so only in the last October the 30th, I was told by my doctor or a specialist actually, that I wasn't going to be able to go back to work. So I've had to do a lot of, and it's all about, self-care, and is so important. But when all my identity basically just kind of like disappeared, I was like, who am I now? Because now I can't go on with my business plan that I had worked so hard on and worked many years to kind of get to that point where I felt like I had enough knowledge. I knew that it wasn't going to be where I wanted to go with it. I knew that the injury wasn't going to allow me to go in that area. But it's so funny, how when you settle in, like over the last few months now, I've been settling in more and more into who am I now? And I've been doing a lot of creativity. I've been doing a lot more painting, very therapeutic things, and a lot of spirituality stuff with looking at doing a lot of like moon ceremonies and so many different aspects that I never really spent any time on because I was so busy with everything else. So now here I am, that's kind of where I'm to right now, is I'm doing that. We also we do have a 150-year-old home that's gone through like 5 generations of my boyfriend's grandparents. Anyway, we've been looking at that. So while I can't work, there's still I'm realizing there's still definitely so many things I can still do, but I had to use other people who have the abilities that I don't have anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with them those abilities. So I have to gather supports around me that are completely different than I did when I had you know, my
Mm-hmm.
who I was before the accident. So I guess that's what I'm kind of trying to contribute here in talking to you guys is, you know, at any point in time, you might have these side hustles, and you might get all this, and you're going full bore, you know, full strength ahead, and things happen, and then you gotta rearrange
Mm-hmm.
how you think about yourself, and how you think about what that side hustle is going to be, what that's maybe that, you know, you never know the next like gem that's going to kind of land in your lap
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
you never ever would have a chance to kind of really focus on. So
Yep, that's excellent. Thank you, Deanne. I know that I was faced with that 4 years ago this month, 4 years ago last week, actually, and I've missed the date completely. So I always think that's a good sign. But I was walked out. I was walked out of government. And I think the fact that I forgot the actual anniversary date was a good sign that it wasn't weighing on my head anymore. I wrote a blog article on it, the fact that, you know, describing that day, because the fact that I remember every minute of that day. And I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so, you know, it was not a dream of mine to do this world, but faced with a family and no income, and what am I going to do? So I decided to take those skills that I had and try to make it a business. And thankfully to all of you on here and so many others, you know, still going strong now, 3 years in. So, exactly, Roseanne. And I still say that government actually gave me a gift that day. I didn't think that day it was a gift, but you know, I think now it was a gift. So a couple of things that I just want to touch on. And again, people are leaving, which is great because I realize that everybody's got things happening as well. But just we're going to pop back to the presentation for a moment. Navigate's new website, Allison mentioned at the beginning. There's a huge value in the business directories there. It's free. Contact Allison. I know you're putting all your information in. She's probably going to follow up for some of you and just say, are you willing to go into her directory? If you send her your logo, you get a nice, it's a beautiful directory if you've been in there. Several of us on this call are actually in the directory, but it's a great service. So you can contact Allison to do that. Upcoming events, we've booked our next one for May 19th. It's a Wednesday this time, or we're shifting a little bit, and that's due to my schedule, so it's on me. And as Allison mentioned earlier, we were looking for topics, and it looks like there's a couple that have flown out of here. The self-care is definitely one, Scott, that, you know, is always an ongoing thing. And I know that one lady just dropped off with CBDC. She mentioned that Margaret mentioned there's a succession planning, so that might be something that we look at as well. And I'm wondering on the succession planning, that might actually be a workshop we offer, Allison. I'm thinking there's more to that than just a discussion here. I can tell you from firsthand experience, Allison is fantastic at promoting your events. That's one of the things that she really thrives at doing for all of us. So if you have an event, tag Navigate, tag Allison, send it to her, whatever you need to do. She's really, really good at putting it out there into her community. So that's really important. I'm huge belief in connecting and networking. I started the virtual coffee break with my business as a quarterly event because Priya and I had this conversation last week. I'd go to something like a Navigate coffee break, and I'd be listening to entrepreneurs that are experienced, and I'm going, oh my gosh, does that apply to me? Am I supposed to worry about that? What the heck am I doing? And where do I go? Who do you use for? So we started I started one on my own, and then I ended up connecting with Allison's boss at Navigate, kind of talked myself into doing a pilot with them. And so we did a pilot last year, as Allison mentioned earlier. And I ran some numbers this morning. So for our first 3 months, which was our pilot of January, February, March 2020, pre-pandemic, we were averaging about 11 people a session. And it was a pilot, and we were just feeling waters. We felt, well, that's still enough interest that we're going to keep things going. The first 4 months, including today, of 2021, we're averaging between 25 and 30 people. So you have tripled this community. It's your community, and we want to be here as long as you folks feel there's value. And those numbers are telling me there's value. The comments that we hear from you are telling us there's value. So Allison and I still, we're very interested in doing this, but it's your community. We want this for you. So again, anything that you can, suggest, support, of a speaker, whatever it may be, please feel free to connect with us at any time. I am going to promote 2 of my own events, Allison, if you're okay with that. Next week, I'm doing a workshop called Respect in the Workplace for Gander Women's Center. They're offering it free to community. So you can see it on my Facebook page, or contact the Gander Women's Center and register. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. next Wednesday, the 21st. And that's free. And then on Thursday, I'm doing my community connection. And the community connection is very similar to this. It's targeted to the not-for-profit sector. But Roseanne, you might be interested in this one as well, because next week I'm having the chair, Tara Saunders of NLEDA, which is the Newfoundland and Labrador Indigenous Tourism Association. She's coming on. They're fairly new not-for-profit, and they're bringing 5 Indigenous communities together to talk about tourism in our province. So that may be of interest for some of you as entrepreneurs, especially if you're in the tourism industry or you want to connect with some folks in the tourism industry. And as well, those of you that support in the agencies that support not-for-profit sector, it's a great opportunity to connect. And that's next Thursday at 9:30 a.m. To 11. And again, registration's on my website or Facebook. Yeah, Tara's great. She's so Tara and Roxanne just dropped off. Roxanne's on the board in Labrador, and Jillian Larkham is the co-chair. So did some really nice work with them a couple weeks ago, and I know Frank's part of that community, and Jeffrey Young I think is part of that community as well. So I'm really excited to have them come on to that session next week. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share? We've got a few minutes left. Any events coming up? Anything you'd like us to promote for you? Mark, another one. When I saw you come in, Mark, and register, I thought Mr. Side Hustle himself starts them, coaches them, guides them, sells them, makes them, everything, Mark.
Succession plans them.
Succession plans them. Maybe we'll get you, Mark, next time to talk about how to get out of a side hustle.
Always have to have the exit before you have the entry.
There you go. There you go.
I've only had a couple side hustles.
Only a couple. You make me laugh.
Actually, I hope everyone's been paying attention to the chat, because I've been putting a lot of links over there and information for everyone regarding the people who presented today, the different links to their programs that they talked about, to their businesses. Also, there's a great book if anyone's considering starting a side hustle. Mark, I'm sure you'd recommend this one too. The Side Hustle from Idea to Income in 27 Days by Chris Guillebeau. And he basically boils it down into all the key considerations when you're going to start a side hustle. So the link is there for that as well, if anyone's interested in learning more.
Excellent. And I've just put in the chat as well the website that I mentioned around finding what Indigenous territory you're located in. Priya, I'm going to ask you if you want to say quick words of hello. You're joining us from the West Coast, so you're barely awake, girl. Not the West Coast of Newfoundland, the West Coast of the country.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Carol, for inviting me to this. It's been so useful. I really appreciate all the resources that you've put in the chat there, Allison, and for everybody else that has had a chance to speak as well. Yes, I am on the West Coast of Canada right now in Alberta. So a little bit of an early start, not too bad. I'm the owner and operator of Compass Chocolates, and it's a brand new business. I'm a trained pastry chef and chocolatier. I was born and raised in St. John's, and so Newfoundland is home for me. And we come back every year, but we're looking at possibly coming back and having a business there as well. So with that said, my husband's from the west coast of Newfoundland, so I have a lot of connections there. Carol and I connected through an NLO program. And yeah, I'm looking at making connections, looking at making some maybe joint projects. I would love to do a chocolate and beer flight. I think that would be a really cool idea now with craft beer taking such a popular position in tourism. But then I'm not restricted to anything because it's mine to discover and I don't know, explore different ideas. I think that there's lots to be said about trailblazing and doing something a little bit differently, and I'm definitely game for that. So
Excellent.
hit me up, people.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
I think they actually have chocolate beer. So I think I've had that at the gastropub before, so that might be it.
Yeah, I think Rob was one of the ones that connected you with Priya, so you guys can hash that out.
Awesome.
Any other folks like to say a quick hello? Anything interesting going on in your worlds that you want us to know about?
I think there's a few people on here with side hustles who are being quiet, but
That's okay. That's okay. Not all of us speak for a living like I do and love chatting. Frank, your mic's open. You want to say hello? Maybe not.
actually I think Abby,
Abby, did you want to say hello? You were throwing your webcam on there for a second.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi. So I'm Abby Anderson. My side hustle is in the crafting, art, sewing, painting, which is a very hard side hustle to do when Dollarama exists. Yeah, and I mean the way that the business started, if you can call it a business, I guess is a bit more of a family story because my grandmother sewed her whole life. She taught my mother how to sew. She taught me how to sew. And then she passed away in May. So when the fall started in September, I couldn't go to my grandmother's house and spend time with her. I couldn't do that anymore. And the way that I spend time with her now is through sewing because that was her thing. And it was such a big part of who she was as a person to me. And she also kind of had her own craft business and she focused more on Newfoundland tartan products. Isn't really the area that I wanted to go in, but I kind of decided to try to start selling things sort of as a way to carry on her legacy. That's kind of why the business started. I'm not really sure how to put that in the brand though, because right now I really only have Facebook, Instagram, and an email. And so many ads for design your website using Wix. No, do it using Etsy. So it's very much which one and how do I make it look nice without having to pay these crazy fees because I'm a master's student now and that is a whole job on its own. So, but yeah.
My daughter's doing that. Certainly, Abby, there's a lot of people on this call that would be very beneficial for you. Carla with Enlo, Allison with Navigate, Scott with Futurepreneur. They're definitely folks to connect with for sure because that's exactly what they do. Carla was with me from day one, probably even pre-day one. Just this is an idea, Carla, is this something I should even consider? And she helped me through. So definitely when look for a follow-up email with the names and stuff and reach out, or some of those folks on this call can reach out to Abby as well, because this is the support you need for sure.
And that side hustle program might be exactly what you need.
Yeah, so Scott would be your contact for you here for sure. I want to thank the students that are joining us today because I know, to Abby's point, my daughter's doing her master's as well. It is a full-time job to balance school and life process. Linda's here with the Atlantic Study and Stay program, and I was joking earlier when Scott said he wanted me to be a mentor. Linda got me first. She encouraged me for 2 years, and I've been a mentor in that program now, starting in January. it's been wonderful. It's been a great experience to connect with the students. So thank you to the students who have joined us today. Very happy you could make some time to connect with us. Well, I think that's it. We're 5 minutes before the hour, top of the hour in Newfoundland and bottom of the hour elsewhere. So I want to thank everyone. Again, on the last slide I've got there is contacts for Navigate. Feel free to connect with Allison, get on their mailing list. Follow my stuff as well if you want to go onto my page. You will get an evaluation pop up as you log out of the session today. If you can please complete the evaluation, it helps us plan for future sessions. It also helps Navigate with their funders to say that yes, you know, people attend this stuff and they want this stuff and keep giving us money for it so that we can keep it going. So thank you everyone for a fantastic session once again, and so glad you're able to join us. We hope that we can see you in May.
Huge thank